Helen Yee here with Eyes on the Game in Washington, being joined by the one and only, one of the greatest MMA fighters of all time, Demetrious Johnson. Great to see you. You have a fight April 7th against Adriano Moraes at 1 on TNT for that one flyweight championship. What are your expectations going into the fight?
Going out there, just take it to him, fight. Honestly, we had a great training camp, training through the pandemic. Knock on wood, nobody in our camp has got COVID. We've been training in pods, and I'm looking forward to it.
Well, I saw you tell Brendan Schaub on Food Truck Diaries that one of your main training partners, Bibiano Fernandez, you haven't been really able to work with him because of the pandemic. So who are some other guys that you've brought in?
I haven't really brought anybody in. Been training with the same guys I have throughout my whole entire career. James Yang, Greg Sage, Ryan Kim, Jacob, Cody, Gabriel. Since we've been training in pods, those are kind of like the guys. And then obviously, we have the head coach. And then with the, with the pandemic, Bibiano Fernandez, he's not able to get down here due to, the restrictions in the border of Canada. So, but me and him trained for a very long time together, and we talk all the time, and he was like, my brother, your jiu-jitsu on a different level now. You'll be okay. Go out there and do your thing.
Yes, and we will all see that on April 7th. But for you, how do you visualize the fight playing out?
I never, I visualize it just going out there and fighting, to be honest with you. Like, in my whole entire career, I never gave myself, I just tell myself it's going to be a long night. I've always done that. From an amateur day to this day, I was like, it's going to be a long night, because I always tell myself, you got 25 minutes. Go out there and go to work. Then when you're done, just give it your all for 25 minutes. After that, you do whatever you want.
Well, you're definitely one of the greatest. Like I mentioned, you made your pro MMA debut April 28th, 2007. You fought and beaten so many tough opponents. But in your opinion, who was the toughest?
In all my fights? Yeah. I'll say Dominic Cruz. Yeah. He was very good with his footwork, long body. I remember he had me on the ground and he was still standing up. I was like, ha ha. And if I was like, good for you, must be good to be 5'9", just be able to hold a man down like that. So I'll say Dom. He's just a bigger guy.
Well, was there someone that you haven't faced yet that you've always wanted to face?
Not really. I've never been that type of person. Somebody today asked me, is there somebody you can fight? Who would it be? And I'm like, probably GSP, just because he's an athlete. He's a great athlete.
Well, like I mentioned, one of the greatest of all time. A few years ago, you were linked to a super fight against TJ Dillashaw. His suspension was up, and there's kind of talks, according to Cory Sandhagen, that he would be fighting him in a title eliminator fight. What are your thoughts on TJ coming back and getting that title eliminator?
I'm happy for TJ to get back. Obviously, me and him were supposed to fight, but I knew that if he were to cut to 125, there was no way he can do it healthy, right? Because he's pretty lean at 135, and for him to shave another 10 pounds off when he doesn't have a lot of fat on him, I knew it was going to be very hard for him to do it. So going forward, I think TJ is going to do well against Cody. I mean, it's just going to come down to who's going to be able to execute and be able to put who away, and we'll see how Cody comes. I'm not Cody. We'll see how it's Cory. I thought it was Cody. Oh, sorry.
No, Cory Sandhagen.
Cory. It'll be kind of interesting to see how TJ bounces back from the long suspension. I'm sure his body's well rested up, and I'll be watching that fight.
Well, many people consider you the GOAT, but I saw you tell ESPN that you think Jon Jones is a GOAT. How do you think he does, in that heavyweight division and getting that title shot, depending on who wins between Stipe and Francis?
I think he's going to do very well. I think he said he's rocking around like 245. I would have liked him to keep some abs and keep some, more muscle instead of fatness on his body. But, he's trying to bulk up to compensate for being smaller. But I think for him, if he was shorter, I think you have a lot more problems. But for him being taller, putting the weight on, I think he's going to be just fine. I think he's well-rounded. He can wrestle, kickbox, Muay Thai. He's going to be fine.
Do you see him beating whoever wins between Stipe and Francis? I think
if he fights Francis, I think the fight would be a lot easier. All he has to do is negate the power. If he fights Stipe Miocic, it's going to be a lot harder fight, because I feel like Stipe is more well-rounded. He can wrestle. Stipe's been dropped before. He's been down in the scorecards. He comes back. He always figures a way out. So either way, I think Jon Jones is, it's going to be a great fight for either whoever he fights.
Well, you are also a great analyst. So leaving that analyst hat on, another trilogy coming up, or it should be in the works, Dustin Poirier versus Conor McGregor. Who do you think takes that trilogy?
Once again, I feel like Dustin has been through a lot of wars. I think he's been battle tested. I think through all his fights. You know, you think about it, during the pandemic, he was, you know, Dan Hooker. He's been putting the work, he's been putting the hours into where Conor hasn't been as active. And in this game, the more active you are, the better you're going to be better off. You know, in the first fight, obviously Conor got it. The second fight, Conor was lighting him up. And then obviously Dustin with the leg kicks, the calf kicks, he was able to come back, turn the fight around. So it all depends, you know, how Conor approaches this fight. Is he going to work on all aspects of mixed martial arts and not worry about, you know, striking? Or is he going to be fluid like he was the first time? It just all depends who shows up.
Well, that first fight was at 145. The rematch was at 155. Do you think that played a factor in the results?
No, I don't think it played a factor at all, because I feel like Conor and Dustin, they're both equally the same size. You know, Dustin did have a bigger back. I just feel that, you know, Dustin has been battle tested, and I think Conor, the way he strikes and he fights, he's very explosive, very, very explosive, and he tends to fade in the later rounds, so where Dustin gets stronger in the later rounds. So going to the next fight, he has to keep that in the middle of his mind. He's faster than Dustin. He was landing those shots, landing those clean shots, so he's got to do that for 5 rounds straight. Now he's gonna need the gassing to do that and manipulate, not manipulate, but check the leg kick and wrestle. You know, just go out there and compete.
Well, we last spoke October 2019, and you told me that you'd be giving Jorge Masvidal a 5-piece chicken meal in Street Fighter. Did you give that to him yet?
No, we haven't played Street Fighter yet. You know, he's been busy going around selling that mascot, his drink, and now he's getting ready for his fight against Kamaru Usman. But yeah, nothing but love for, you know, Jorge Masvidal. I'm happy for the success that he's been able to get, especially all the work he's put into the sport of mixed martial arts, fighting in the backyard. You know, when I look at him, I be like, he's one of the true fighters, because he's the one who was doing it when nobody's getting paid. He was like, you want to go at backyard fight? I'll tell you what, my black ass wouldn't do that. I'll be like, you want to go back? Nah, I'm going to go inside and play some video games. Like, I'm good. You Gucci. You stronger.
World of Warcraft?
World of Warcraft, yes.
And lastly, for all your fans who can't wait to watch you return April 7th, what would you like to let them know?
Make sure you guys tune in live at TNT April 7th as I take on Adriano Moraes for the flyweight belt. Don't miss it.